The cops have him cornered. A man's wife has been murdered, and now he's sitting in an interrogation room while detectives lay it all out. Motives, custody battles, life insurance, and a best friend turned hitman. Phone records, shell casings, and a bungled crime scene. This guy is staring down a death penalty case, and the walls are closing in fast. Let's get into it.
Mr. Bozza, basically what we're here for, it's my understanding of the night you were arrested that you wanted to talk to the detectives, you wanted your lawyer there, and there was some technical difficulties of getting everybody together. They had to go serve a search warrant on another murder case. So I called Mr. Rowland to see if you still want to talk. We always want to give people an opportunity to be heard and tell us what they want to tell us. Discuss your situation with you. Mr. Cotham's going to be back probably tomorrow or the next day. He's waived extradition, so he's going to be back down here. Meeting with us this week, so that's kind of where we are. Obviously, you've been charged with first-degree murder. I'm sure Mr. Rowland's advised you it's a potential capital case because of murder for hire situation. So that's the situation you're currently in. Court can hold you without bond in this case if we determine we're going for the death penalty. So that's kind of where we are. I don't know what information you want to give these detectives. That's just kind of where we are.
Okay.
And what you want to, we want to open it up, let you tell us what you were wanting to tell initially.
Right, and that's fine. Like I said, and he's, he may, ask me for advice, but his story's been the same all along, just like I've said. So, you want to...
Well, the night we were speaking, we were going to you had a lot of things that you wanted to open up, kind of show me, let me ask some questions if I had any. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought that might be what we were doing today, is definitely because that day I said I'm more than willing to cooperate in any way I can. But I'm not really not sure what to say unless...
Well, it's...
The only instruction is he's been telling the truth. I don't care, good, bad, or indifferent. To me, he lied to
exactly.
And his mom, but not to you.
Now, I think your lawyer told you as a lawyer, right? These guys can mislead you a little bit. In certain situations, I can't. So what I tell you about the case is pretty much what I know the facts are as of this time. I try not to misstate anything, but right now you look to me like you're in a pretty difficult situation. I don't have any question at all that Mr. Cotham killed your wife. None.
Okay.
I've tried a lot of cases. I've been doing this 34 years. I've tried a lot of capital cases. I've tried a lot of murder cases, and I know a pretty good case when I see one. Of course, that's the situation. Obviously, we have some motives for you to kill your wife. You were going through a divorce. I know there were custody issues involved, insurance money involved, her cooperation in the arson investigation that was involved. So those are motives right out of the gate that obviously makes you the main suspect in the case. You can understand that.
Yes, sir.
We also have witnesses where you threatened your wife, made statements you were going to kill your wife.
Okay.
We also have statements your wife has made to certain people that may or may not be admissible in court. They can come in sometimes, they can't come in sometimes, but where she said that you threatened her, she was scared of you, you made a statement she didn't quit messing with you, that it was coming, which can be perceived as a pretty definite threat. Those may or may not come in. So we also have a witness that saw you around her house the night before she was murdered, which I think you've denied to the police.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, this witness knows you, knows who you are, and reported the police right away. They've seen you the night before around the house. So, that would be something, but I'm just telling you what I understand the proof against you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And this is a little early to do this, but in a case like this, it's pretty crucial early on who understands what's going on. And, And if one person decides they want to cooperate, the first person to the trough usually gets there. So
I openly told these guys, if it was Corey, I'll do all I can to help out in that
So I'm
case.
just
I don't understand in the least bit why it would be.
Okay. So, obviously, if you selected Corey to do the killing, he might have been a good arsonist, but he wasn't a very good murderer. And he made some big mistakes. We know he's your best friend, or one of them. We know he's your business partner. We know we got texts, phone calls. We got a bunch of stuff. There's not going to be pictures. I mean, you name it. There's no question you're going to be tied like a twin to Corey. We know he had the murder weapon. How do we know that? Because he was stupid enough to get it from his stripper girlfriend, who stole it from her husband. Her husband reported it stolen before the murder.
Just for a second, Tom, one about something just off the record.
Okay,
But,
sure.
I mean, it's I'll tell you what I'm talking about. It's just kind of.
You just want to talk?
Yeah, Tim, Tom for a second.
Or me. These chairs are comfortable. Yeah, they're all the same.
And the way we know that he had the murder weapon was he messed up and left the shell casing. He picked up his casings, but he didn't find one because it rolled up against the wall. Very distinctive type of ammunition. It's kind of green colored. It's cheap. It's sold at Academy Sports, which we're checking out all of Academy Sports now, watching their tapes at the time. We know he got the weapon to see who, if anybody, bought that ammunition there. We haven't had time to do all that yet. That shell casing was taken. They then went to Lawrence County, and yes, the husband had test fired that weapon several times prior to it being stolen. They found the shell casing's exact match. And not only did he take it from the stripper girlfriend, but he took it over to a friend of his and showed it to him, a high standard Glock, not a high standard
High
40,
point,
not a Glock, but high standard 40. In
High point 9mm.
9mm. Okay, I got it.
I don't know nothing about guns anyway, so.
Okay. But anyway, the guy even shows him how to clean the gun. Not only that, but then the idiot puts it on his cell phone, the gun, along with the same green ammunition laying beside it. It's recovered from the crime scene. So you can see that's pretty strong evidence of the murder weapon. He then gives a bullshit alibi to the police about he was in Portland, Tennessee or somewhere, which obviously from his cell phone records wasn't true. He pulls in at the scene in his own car. We have a witness that saw a silver SUV leaving the scene, time of the murder. He pulled in, and evidently he screeched his tires because he left a very distinctive tire print. It's consistent with the tires on his car. He was so stupid, even though he told the police his alibi was in Portland, Tennessee, he was so stupid as he saw a friend on Old Hickory Boulevard, just a short distance from the murder scene. He called him on the phone and said, "Hey, I just passed you. I saw you on such and such." Of course, his cell phone records corroborate that call. His cell phone records obviously corroborate he was at the scene of the murder. His cell phone records also corroborate that he called you right after the murder.
We spoke a number of times that day.
Yeah. His cell phone records also show that where he picked your wife up and started following her was the exact place that she brought the child for you to get visitation. So that he was waiting at the exact location you met the child. And it shows him pinging different towers right as he goes to the murder scene. He loved his cell phone, and his cell phone is what's going to take him out. And then he makes a mistake of taking her iPhone. Her iPhone's roaming. So her iPhone goes right down the road with Corey, with his cell phone, which he's admitted to the police never leaves his side, and goes right down the road with his cell phone as they leave together. right where he makes the call to his friend. So the cell phone records are pretty devastating for him. We also know on the day he was arrested that the phone records that his stripper girlfriend called him to tell him the police were looking for her, and the information that they'd given her roommate. And then as soon as he hung up from her, he called you. Because we were following you at the time, watched you pick up the phone.
Yeah, you guys were behind me, of course.
So you were the first person he called when he got that information. And then you erased that off your phone before the police could find it. We know
I
that.
erased it, he called me?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the U.S. Marshals, what they said.
Yeah, the U.S. Marshals, when they're coming in on him, he's on the phone. And he says, call Tim, call Tim. Talking to his stripper girlfriend, I think, from the phone records we've got. So,
Which girl?
the stripper, Miss
Okay.
So we also know he promised his daughter a Mac Pro, which was taken from your wife when she was murdered. That was before the murder. He promised her he'd get her a Mac Pro. He provided a bogus alibi, which is his roommates have said no way was he there. Of course, we know he wasn't there based on his cell phone records. We know you all had plans to go to Barbados together, to leave the country.
I think that, if you want to talk,
Well, Barbados was the thing. I'd just gone a couple of months ago with a young lady I'm dating. Beautiful country. And I told him, yeah, I'd love to go back, and he had to go with us. And I don't know of any plans to leave the country. My son's here. I couldn't go anywhere with him. So.
Well, I'm just telling you that.
Well, yes, sir, I understand.
I see. I'm just saying.
He
I understand, okay.
He's not a, that's it, not
He also received a text message from his girlfriend, who he'd obviously called that night in Kentucky. So he had 3 of them he was bouncing around with, from what we tell, maybe more, but at least 3 he was living with around the way, saying that she loved it when a plan came together and how good it had all worked out for him. That was after the murder.
what she told. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what I don't understand. I mean, how much you're stealing the money? That's to me personally.
It's just her indicating she was.
I mean, I can understand her believing that and Corey believing that, but like I said, see, Tim's not.
Also, physical evidence recovered from his car. There's a container that the gun was in. Not that we need that. There has been a hair recovered, 2 of which appear to be female. And we haven't got results back. I can't say whether that's your wife's hair. One of them was located where you put your foot on the gas. There's a good, strong possibility he may have picked that up in the house and brought it out. He also wore latex gloves, which he supposed, evidently the way they ripped inside out, took them off and left them in his truck. So DNA testing is being performed on those. So there appeared to have been a struggle with your wife, so it's possible her DNA's on those gloves. We don't have the results back. Not that I think we're really going to need them against Corey, but
I'll agree without a doubt she'd have struggled to hell and back to try.
so that's kind of where we are right now. Is the evidence is extremely strong. I think in you being tied to him the way you are, your phone calls and your motive and everything. In all likelihood, I don't know whether we'll try you folks together yet or not. We'll make that decision down the line. But we know no other particular motive Corey could have for killing your soon-to-be ex-wife.
I don't know what they know. Explain to them, did you explain how you actually ever met Corey? You first knew he was alive? I mean...
No, I mean, Corey actually knew
very
Veronica before he knew me.
Mm-hmm.
She worked at a place called Reaper's Plus over off of Murphy Road, and her boss was Corey's cousin. And then I met Corey sometime later through another friend that owned a video game store. It used to be in Rivergate. And at one time or the other, at that point, we had met at a barbecue outside, and my wife and I were there with a couple of them in the house, and he came in and saw her and then saw me, and from there, I mean, he'd been house sitting for us whenever we went back to her families in Italy. He stayed with us for weeks while they remodeled a house he was living in. And he's been a big picture in our life from the very beginning. That's kind of why I don't understand why any of this would have happened this way.
Well, I can tell you from what I've seen of Corey, he's a true sociopath.
Well,
I don't know if you read the court order he showed you about his background. Or
no, the opinion, and
Yeah,
I mean,
the opinion.
and I didn't tell him about you because I didn't want to plant. It's better about Corey's background and all that stuff. How you knew it before I showed you his record, and that's just Tennessee. I don't know what he's got outside of Tennessee.
Got a rape conviction in Oregon.
I mean, he had mentioned stuff, but
He's got
I mean,
children by 4 different women, all of which he's beaten
Yeah,
up.
that part I know of. I didn't know he beat them all up, but I knew he had kids from multiple wives and things. I mean, Corey's done a lot of things with us. My new girlfriend, my house with my mom. He's always been a big part of our family before and then after he came back.
But since the divorce, though, he's more latched onto you. And
We actually
Veronica
met at
and
the
Corey-
courthouse.
Right, Veronica and Corey separated themselves, and Corey stated himself he hasn't seen Veronica in a long time since the divorce started, and that he's only been over there in March. He went by looking for you, and that was it. And then from the Facebook, the text messages, the cell phone records, the pictures of Beach Haven Winery and the other spots, I mean, you and him are...
Openly, he's been around me since he came back in the picture and found me. I can't deny that he works with me every day.
Well, y'all are fixed at the hip almost, and that's
Well, and I can't deny that.
all of a sudden
Absolutely
your
not.
wife's killed, and we've got overwhelming evidence he did it. And also the fact that he tracked her from where you were meeting to get the child. How would he possibly know to be there if you didn't give him that information?
That I have no idea, sir. I mean, I meet my wife the same time every Sunday at the same exact location.
Why would he call you right after he killed your wife?
I have no idea, sir.
I mean,
To be honest, I mean, we talked that day about a multitude of
I'm just
things.
telling you where it's headed.
Right, I understand.
And it's not good.
I mean, we talked a multitude of times that day about getting the boys together to go watch a movie. I think his younger boy's 12 and mine will be 9, and doing some things like that. But other than that, talk about the girls that he was with the night before.
Well, there were a bunch of them. He's got an amazing cell phone, that's for sure.
I've lived a life vicariously for
as good
Corey.
as Brian Rose.
Yeah, he's, and knowing Corey, once he figures out that needle's going in his arm, he's going to roll like a giant whale.
I mean, if there's anything I can do to help, of course I want to, because this guy
Well,
killed.
it's not to help us, it's to help you right now. Because you're staring down the barrel of the death penalty right now with pretty strong evidence against you.
I understand. I'm just not sure what I can do. I
My
mean,
best buddy went over and killed my wife on a Sunday at noon when I just happened to be out getting exact receipts, which I kept for the police.
Well, you need to explain your relationship with Corey. I mean,
well, that's it. I mean, since he came back and found me, he's been there every day. I mean, he works every day with me, just to kind of hang out and be
what
there.
type of work? I mean, I'm the
Well,
man.
I'm sorry, construction work. I'm
Well,
a
Corey, when
remodeling
he called you,
contractor.
did that right before you were arrested?
To be honest, sir, I didn't know that I spoke to him. I don't recall. I mean, I was
You don't
messing
recall
around with my
that?
little boy.
Right
So
before you were arrested, talking on the phone?
right before I was arrested,
Yeah.
the other
They
day,
were right behind you, watched you talking on the phone.
I think I was trying to talk to my sister. I don't remember speaking to Corey. I talked to him that morning. Yes, sir, I did. But before they caught me, I don't remember speaking to Corey.
Well,
Honest to God's truth, I do not remember speaking to Corey.
Cell phone records will show it, even though you erased them. We've got hers and yours at one.
Well, you have
I'm the first one to admit, in my phone, when Corey called in, it shows restricted. I can't erase those from my phone. I can't erase it, so it'll definitely show. If he called, it'll show a restricted call, but I didn't speak to Corey.
How many times a day would you speak to him?
If we worked together, probably 3 or 4 still even. If we didn't work together, I don't know, it may be 5 or 6 depending upon what we were doing.
Why would he tell a stripper that gave him the murder weapon to call you?
That I
Did you
have
know?
no idea, sir.
Did you know her?
Who is she? I mean,
Little skinny girl.
she'd been around once or twice with him, I'd seen her. But other than that, not really. I don't know her, no, sir. But no, sir.
Do you know she lived in Lawrence County? Is that?
She lived here now.
Oh.
He's been shacking up with her from time to time.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why this would have happened. I'm surprised. Corey was with me all the time. Now, after work, we were never together, except for if we were like the Saturdays we went to Beach Haven and stuff like that. But other than that, there wasn't any hanging out
Is that the
time.
winery or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Beach Haven's the winery.
No dinners after work?
We had some lunch. The photograph you had was one day at lunch out there at 100 Oaks
There's others.
at the Logans.
I mean, it's like this.
I mean, he was with me all day long.
I
I
know.
mean, he'd show up from work and he'd leave after work.
Right. Based on what we have, as far as the statements and stuff on you, based on the evidence that we've gathered for Corey,
Right.
and everything that we have that shows that he's a shooter, that he's the murderer, and then his link to you, plus everything else, what I think Tom's trying to tell you is that it just doesn't look good.
I understand that.
And if you wanted to have an opportunity to talk and to explain things, now's the time. And obviously your
I think
attorney
he did
said,
what he wants to explain. I mean, that's what he doesn't know.
Right.
I mean, he's not dumb. He knows he's going to be the first and last suspect. We talked about that. And married to her for 16. You tell about your whole course of your marriage. I mean, like we're talking to me. I mean, was this the first time she cheated on you? Second?
Well, no, this is
Or
the second time she cheated on me. But I mean,
No, married.
Well, you had a fiance yourself, so it wasn't like you.
well, no, that's it. We had made it to the point to where we were finalizing stuff. And I was surprised that we weren't divorced last year because I thought, in fact, I had told her back in, I guess, end of June or July of last year
Insurance policies.
yeah,
Okay.
that I thought she was going to be married last fall sometime to this guy.
Was your insurance current on for you for
Is
her
mine?
beneficiary?
Oh, yes, sir.
The $350,000.
I had a late payment that I had sent in, but it was sent in last week. So mine was current. I kept mine up.
it was past the grace period.
You got current up to July, then you've lapsed it in.
Yeah, and then you brought past the grace period.
Which,
Well, all I know is I called into them, they told me to send a check overnight, and I went to the post office and sent it in, express mail, I believe it was.
Did she,
And I had until Saturday sometime or whatever to
It's
do
past
it.
Saturday?
No, beforehand.
Oh, okay.
This all happened before all this other.
you were a beneficiary for her at $550,000, right?
That's what I've been told, yes, sir.
You didn't know that?
No, sir. And it's the same thing I told them. The last set of papers that her attorney had sent over to me in the very beginning of it, page 2 or something, had stated that we didn't have to name each other beneficiary, which
After
was
you were
fine with
divorced.
me.
Right.
But that was fine because if I'm
I
going to
understand.
be with this lady over here, and
Yeah.
I'd rather give my money to someone else.
That's once the divorce is final.
Right. But then, again, it was one of the statements that I asked, is it this way or is it not? And I hadn't got an answer yet.
And you were in financial trouble, weren't you?
I'm not the most well off, no, sir, but I had most of my money wrapped up into a house that I was trying to sell. So, but I had work going, so I was making do.
You had a lot of liens on your house.
No, sir.
You did?
I had one bank note on one. The other one was an empty lot, which Metro had torn down, denied me my permit, had torn down after the fire. And on the other house, there was nothing. We bought it clear and free. I had an outstanding loan I was paying off, but the house itself had nothing against it. So no, sir, there were no outstanding loans on anything.
Property records show 48 liens.
48 liens on my property.
Yes, on your properties.
Well, I don't know where they came from because as far as I know, there's nothing. The house in Severe Court, we bought with cash. And we didn't buy it. I bought it in December of
Who's
last year.
living in that house?
Well, it may be Corey's, one of the mother's children, was there before because they got kicked out of their place, and I told her, sure, y'all can stay here for a few weeks, get on your feet, and then it's, while it's being sold, but go ahead. And as I understand, she was still there the other day when my in-laws went over, or not my in-laws, but my aunt and uncle went over there. But she should be
She's
out.
still there.
Well, she should have been out last week.
Saying her and Corey had an agreement with you for her to stay there.
Well, they did, and I informed them that was over and ready to go even before all this other started too, because I had people wanting to come look at it again.
After Veronica's murder, why did you try to distance yourself from Corey and you tell him that you couldn't see him and you couldn't talk to him?
I haven't.
I mean, it's in text messages and emails.
I haven't told him that because he even came to work after this. I mean, he was at the work site with me. I mean, we've met and we walked through Home Depot together. In fact, there's people there that can verify they've seen us together.
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks after. But immediately after, you told him that he got rather upset with you about why you couldn't see him.
Well, I told him I couldn't talk to him as many times a day as I was because we were doing some other stuff, but I didn't distance myself by any means. At that point, I had all this other stuff and my son to deal with.
And Corey was mad that you didn't give him a heads up about the attorneys coming and having a meeting with us.
I don't know about that, but I'm not trying to distance myself.
I mean, this is just my own curiosity. Was there a tap, a federal tap on his phone? That's the other thing. And
So we can't tell you that right now.
well, I mean, that's just my speculation. But and for that,
Right.
I mean, just like you told me, and for what it's worth, Tom's probably heard me say a similar thing. Did you ever say things offhand around people?
Oh, well, I openly
included-
admit, yeah, there were times that we had big arguments. I'd make a couple of statements. This was time and time
Who
back.
had big arguments?
Well, Veronica and I had in the very beginning of this thing a number of times.
What kind of statements?
Well, I made a statement that I wish something would happen to her, but this wasn't recent. This was last year. We were getting along really well now. We were at the end of this thing. I mean, I'm the first to admit that,
God, I didn't know.
You weren't concerned about her taking your child and moving to California?
No, sir, because we'd actually put it in the documents that she felt even that it was his best benefit to stay here, that she wouldn't take him and go anywhere. I mean, left California to come live here.
What do you know? I mean, as far do y'all get along? Do y'all ever speak? I mean, they don't know.
Well, the very first time I met him, I shook his hand, patted him on my shoulder, and told him thank you. That 2 times in one marriage was 2 times too many, and good luck. That as long as he took care of her and took care of my son, then I was never going to interfere with nothing.
Why did you meet him? Did you want
I wanted to make sure that the man that was going to spend a lot of time with my son was going to be somebody I could trust. And I even told Veronica in the same conversation I was stating earlier when I said I thought she'd been married last fall, that if a man says he'll leave his wife and he actually doesn't come out here, he's a man of some kind of character at least.
So for a week before she was murdered, Veronica went to a friend and was extremely upset, said she was scared that you threatened her. She had just been making that up.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Why would she do that?
I have no clue. I have never threatened Veronica. Never
You
threatened
never told
Veronica.
anybody you were going to shoot her?
No, sir. No, sir.
Never told anybody you were going to drown her in the swimming pool?
No, sir. No.
Okay.
I promise. Never.
What those offhand comments?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Well, one time I
Like the last letters. I mean, it just seemed weird that they were including trying to get her to. So, I don't know. They're trying to wrap it up, and everything's about agreement. So did y'all ever litigate anything during the divorce?
No. I mean, it was everything pretty much between us until.
Well, they just made you a final offer and said if you didn't accept it, they're going to litigate, right? It's according to her lawyer, and I don't think you
I
lied.
don't remember hearing anything about litigation. I'll be honest, and I can look at the paperwork I've got with John Michael, but I don't remember ever hearing the words litigation.
That's just
We
what
talked about mitigation
lawyer-
at one time.
The
but-
lawyer said, this is it, final offer, either that or we just litigate the case.
I've never seen any of that.
And
They would say that.
She was dead before you either accepted the offer or.
No, sir, I've never seen any of that. In fact, I'm the one that sent back the final thing saying the same thing I said from the very beginning. If we can keep it the way it is, where I have alternating Saturdays, we're good to go. Excuse me.
For you, there's a lot of folks lying out there.
Well, it sounds to me like there are too. I mean, I've told the officers where I was the Saturday night before. And I'm sure that the young lady I stay with can verify that. Absolutely. In fact, I know of one lady who was there the night before with her that told me she was there that night finishing up the books for the project, who came and picked the books up from the house. All those books that were spread out in the pantry area from the show they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
She said she spent most of the evening there that evening working on it.
Why would Corey kill Veronica?
I have no idea. No idea. But like I said, if I can find out or I can do anything, I'll be glad to be the first one to help you guys get him. I have no idea why he would have done this.
We got
I mean,
it.
we've got.
Well, I believe that, but you understand what I'm saying.
You acted like when the lawyer just kind of pushed paperwork towards you that was new about the insurance. 2 days later, we got a phone call that the insurance company tape recorded you trying to file the insurance claim.
I did call.
But the court, you just acted like you didn't know anything about insurance.
I didn't know, and in fact, on my divorce attorney's suggestion, he said you need to call and check on this stuff. He said it may have a funeral clause in it that would help cover. I paid for the funeral, in fact. That would help pay for the funeral, possibly. You need to get your things in line for all this stuff. I did it at his suggestion. I didn't know about it.
I'm the one that called the medical examiner, and after that, it was a touchy situation, so I did do some of it, obviously a touchy situation. And I was at the house with cleaning it up, so we're going to get out there. And he had talked to me, and actually I think I told you, because you asked me, I was, keep it on, but what about, who did why is the life insurance and all that, why is there differences in the values and stuff, do you know?
Well, we had a minimum that we had agreed upon was $350,000.
No, I'm talking
That's
about
enough
the
paperwork.
05. Are there any policies other than these in 05?
Not that I'm aware of, but she handled all the financial stuff.
And I think that state attorney got those. You'll see all the correspondence addressed to her. When we looked at these the other day, is that the first time you'd ever seen?
Oh, yeah. Now, 05 is when she started to move into a whole new category of producing. Her income started to go up.
So you all never discussed the life insurance at all?
Well, yes, sir. In the very beginning, when our son was born, we started talking about we needed to get it in place as soon as we could.
So you're saying you didn't know she had $550,000?
No, sir.
That you would get if she died
No,
while
sir.
you were married?
And the last time I thought anything was when the divorce paper stated that we needed a minimum of $350,000, which we both agreed on that point in front of the divorce attorney.
Did you know about your policies? I knew how much your policies were for.
Well, I assumed that it was the $350,000, but I didn't even know about mine. I've never even really seen what it was for, in fact.
Happened. There was another one, I don't know whether it's in effect or not, but there was another one without a policy at one point on him. I don't know. So there were 3
I
policies
think
in
that
there.
was the total, I thought.
There were 3 policies, and actually she has them typed out. Like I said, she
She was beyond all belief.
is she anal about receipts and everything?
Absolutely. But that's why she handled the finances, because I'm not good with it.
The 9 phone calls made between you and Corey before she was murdered, like the hour and a half before she was murdered, do you know what y'all talked about?
Man, he talked about 2 girls he hooked up with the night before. We mentioned about the kids maybe trying to get together. I don't know, I just got a new phone. I remember a couple of times that dropped for some reason. We called back. But that's just kind of shooting the bull. I mean, we do that all the time in the mornings especially.
You remember what the conversation was at 12:20 when he called you?
12:20?
Mhm.
No, sir. I mean,
What about 12:22 when he called you?
no, sir, because I don't know that I even spoke to him.
Yeah, I think it was 12:53 was the next
There
one.
was another one, and there was some more 4-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just.
But he could have been calling the phone too, and I could have been downstairs with Benjamin or anything. I mean,
Whether you noticed,
Just cause the number rings.
when you copied the phone that night, you erased it. It erased the SIM card. So when you, I think the night he was in place, whatever of it. I don't know.
No, we didn't do anything
We
at
didn't
that
get
point.
it. All right.
He pulled it.
Because when you called me, I know because I checked. You called him on the same number right after you hung up with me when you said your phone was dead.
Right, when he gave his
Just a
phone
gas
to
station,
Uncle
he called
Lenny.
you
He
back.
gave his phone to Uncle Lenny, and then Uncle Lenny, he wanted his phone. He was going to show us the phone calls, and so we got the phone from Uncle Lenny, gave it to Tim. Tim started pulling it up. Tim said, "I want to show you something. They're all gone."
Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. But I also
we
asked.
didn't erase anything, and
Well,
we didn't download anything.
Well, I mean,
at
it's
that
all.
time.
Well, no, I mean, I actually asked at that
What
time
do
if
you
you
think
done
of
something,
this?
because I said, you got a similar phone that I've got, and what would make them all erase?
Right.
I mean, my
Yeah,
old
we
call
didn't
log, which was
download
probably
his
200 or
phone.
300 calls at
Well,
that
that's
point
what
on
I'm
a brand new
talking
phone
about.
even. So,
The insurance policies, do you know how many different policies? I mean, your health and her health, I know she used to smoke and stuff like that, but as far as, were you denied coverage? Or do
No.
you even know? Well, he
no,
was.
I mean, as far as
You
I
didn't
know,
it,
we've
but
never
he was.
been denied coverage.
Well.
I mean, Veronica smoked until we met, and then she quit right afterwards.
I think the records with the state attorney will show that she took, I think there was a previous place, I didn't show it, that she had tried to get insurance and they wouldn't take him because of his family history of diabetes and stuff like that. Like I said, sorry to hold back on you, but
Okay,
That I think that explains the difference in the policy. They wouldn't give him insurance, period.
They gave him more. They gave her, what was the number?
So if it,
Okay. She had $550.
but that $900,000 policy on him was $400 some odd dollars, $330 a month or something. I don't know how long.
yeah, and if Tim was murdered by Veronica's best friend, obviously we'd be looking at her for that too.
Well, and that could have been Corey too. That's. And you see mine.
Well, I mean, Corey has already distanced himself from Veronica when all this went down.
I think long before the divorce, and that's what's so weird about it.
Right. Yeah, long before the divorce, they became best friends. And we can show that. And then the best friend murdered Veronica. Obviously, we're looking at the connection.
We're not idiots. I mean, and that's all.
Right,
that.
I know. But I mean,
And also, he texted us about what a big deal he had going down. He was going to come into a lot of money, stuff like that.
Well, we had a deal that was going with another guy to buy a bunch of jerseys from this factory in China that would have turned into some good sized money. But I mean,
yeah, Corey's statement was something else. He made up something else.
Corey makes up a lot of statements though.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may make up something.
I mean, I've read stuff on his Facebook going, man, I can't believe you can put this stuff out there. Like he'd show pictures of what we would be working on and acting like we were partners in the business.
Did you know he was checking on his detective, found out where his children went to school and where he lived and all that kind of stuff?
Now, I'll be honest there, I didn't know that part, but he made a comment one night, I think, about when he all went to his mom's house maybe. He was pretty irate, and I said, man, you can't talk like that, Corey. And they just doing what they got to do. But as far as any other stuff about all that, no, sir, I had no idea. That's wrong. Absolutely wrong.
I mean,
I had a man threaten my child one time and threaten Veronica over some windows we installed in his house. And no, sir.
it's like I told you that night that it happened. If you and Corey were sitting around drinking beers and you said something like, I wish my wife was dead, it'd be a whole lot easier. And if he took that to mean something else, we were trying to talk to you, give you an opportunity to explain how he just shows up,
Right.
And did that conversation ever happen? Was there any moment that you said something off the wall, like you just said, out of character, and that he might have taken wrong?
I don't know. Can I speak to you a second?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You want
we talk for a second?
Yeah, y'all go ahead.
Well,
Well, y'all go ahead out there. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Oh, we got base with everything else.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew the answer already, but I wanted to verify. I mean, like I said a moment ago, I've made offhand comments a number of times. I never wished that anybody shot her or killed her. But I had told people once upon a time that I wish she'd get run over by a drunk driver. Or that something would happen to her just because, but those were in moments of anger. Then things would relax and calm down. When Veronica was working, things were peachy keen, and Veronica had been working an awful lot now. So things were peachy. That's why I thought we were going to be at an end finally.
Why'd she tell her lawyer she's scared of you? You made these threats to her recently.
To me, I have no idea why she'd have told Mr. any of that. Because the fact of the matter is, I never went anywhere near, except for when we were exchanging, and that was always cordial. I mean, even in the times that when come here and she would bring him, it was still very calm. So I don't know why she would have said she was scared of me if she did.
I mean, did y'all exchange at the same place? None of these guys know. I mean, was it a routine or was it a different place?
A couple of times we changed. We met in Rivergate at the mall a couple of times just because it was closer to me, being in Greenbrier and Ridgetop. We met at the McDonald's in Lakewood a couple of times, but primarily, especially here at the end, since she started going to church regularly, it was just as easy to meet right there after church. Now, we met in the same parking lot at the same time every
How would
time.
Corey know that?
I don't know, maybe just talking when I'm saying, hey, I'm going to the church to meet Veronica, I mean, but like I said, we talked often about trying to get the boys together to do stuff, we just never did it.
So Corey would take it on his own to be sitting out there by chance. She would show up and then follow her home
To be honest, sir, I
and
have
kill
no
her
idea.
just to get her iPhone.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Well, we've narrowed down the time of the murder to like 12 minutes.
Right? I think you told me that before. 9
phone calls back and forth between you and him. It starts at him hitting off a tower near his girlfriend's house, and then the last few calls hit at the same tower over near St. Edwards.
Right.
And 9 times back and forth before Benjamin's dropped off with you. And then he's following her. And then he has a 12-minute window to kill her. And then he calls you immediately after, 12:20 and 12:22. Okay. That, you know.
I understand
you
how
understand
it looks.
how it looks.
Well, yes, sir, I do, absolutely.
You know?
Everything you've said, I understand how it looks.
And you understand that you're his best friend. You're, according to him, you're business partners. According to you, he works for you.
Right.
You know,
well, we were partners in the other thing. I openly said that. Yes, sir.
According to you talked about leaving the country with him.
I'm sorry?
About leaving the country with him. With all his financial, where were you going to get the money to go to Barbados?
I wasn't talking about immediately, sir, by any means. I mean, I just gotten back. And the only reason I got to go then was because that I had some money come in off of the job that we were just beginning, and I took part of my profit and I spent it to go.
But you understand.
I understand
The
completely
connection.
what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, I understand exactly what you presented me with.
And you understand what Corey's going to say, right? When we go pick
I have
him
no
up and
idea
bring
what
him
Corey will
back.
say, to be honest with you.
And Corey, do you see Corey taking this upon himself?
I don't know.
No.
More than, well, I mean, the way you're talking about him, probably not. But I mean, that doesn't
Right.
mean that I can't say something any more than.
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I think I sat in this very room with a guy named William Stevens, who hired a kid to kill his wife and his mother-in-law. Had the same conversation. He did the same thing. The shooter testified against him. He's on death row right now, getting close to being executed. I mean, that's the realism of it all, you know. And that's, we just want to know what ball game you're in, and it's a very serious one. So we don't fool around with the death penalty. It's very serious to me.
Right.
I'm a Christian person. I don't enjoy seeing people get the death penalty, but it's the law. In certain situations, it's required. So that's why I always give people a chance to tell us, talk, maybe show remorse, whatever. Try to help themselves. That's kind of where you are. I mean, I know it's early on, but you know, I'm not telling you anything that we can't prove.
I'm extremely sad that she's gone. I mean, I lay here and cry now, and my son cries to me. Even when I get to call him, which I try my best not to do because it's hard on him. I mean, I'm sorry she's gone. Absolutely. 16 years we were together. I love the woman to death. We both moved on.
But you know, I see no other deal with Corey being the killer other than you're involved. I mean, there's no logical reason, plus all the cell phone activity, plus him knowing where you're picking her up, plus life insurance. I mean, it's pretty devastating evidence. You haven't really told me anything other than I didn't do it. I mean, to help us out. I mean,
Corey gains nothing. Corey has no gain at all to murder Veronica. He has no gain, no financial gain, no gain with property, no gain whatsoever to murder Veronica. But who stands to gain the most? The person closest to him, his best friend.
the only thing he can gain is to you.
And I have nothing to give him. That's the part that I don't
You would have
understand.
$550,000.
Well,
Plus
And a house.
and other
And a
assets
house.
and a car
Well-
and other properties.
And like you said, they're mortgaged to the hill. I mean, I don't know, but the Hermitage house, you know, I know, hey, like I did, see how much it's worth.
Right,
2
like
years
he lives
later.
at home with his mom. I'd be mortgaged to the hill and live with my mom.
Hey
She drives me
man, I'd
nuts.
love to live at home, but that's just me. And I
well,
made
see,
all but
my mom's health span's why I'm
I
there.
can I'll talk to you guys about what I've come up with, but you know, I don't know. I'm not an investigator. All I can do is tell the truth. And after that, I'm stuck. What about? I mean, from the start. I mean, what? Like even when you told me, very first time I met you, Veronica.
That's a great mom, but a terrible wife. Is that what you're talking about?
Your exact words.
Exactly right.
No, exact words. I think you said, "I have a great mom," right?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just.
There's a lot of wives
Lot
that
of
can fall in that category, but their husbands don't inspire to kill.
Well, I mean, are you an idiot? I mean,
Might be.
what? I mean, and that's what.
Do y'all want
I don't know.
to? We can get a.
No, I mean, I'm
if y'all
just.
wanna
No,
talk.
I'm just. the thing that we've been bashing our head in for forever. I mean,
Look, here's the
we
thing.
know how it looks.
Bad things
but-
happen to good people. Good people are put in situations that they would otherwise normally not put themselves in. Okay, we all do it sometimes. Sometimes it's worse than others. This is a bad case and a bad extreme. But the fact is, if we can see the pressure, we can see the pressure coming from the lawyers, the family, the money, the whole thing. And if you're put in a bad situation and you were given an out and you took that out, you know, I think now is the time where you need to decide what best helps your family. Because, you know, as Tom Thurman's sitting here telling you, this is a serious case.
I understand that, absolutely.
And we laid out, not everything, obviously some things we can't share at this time, but we laid out a good portion of the information that we have. And we've been very open and honest with you about it, okay? And, you know, we were hoping you could talk to your attorney and then come open up with him. It's not something you'd want to tell anybody. I'm sure I wouldn't probably tell my attorney the truth right off the bat. That's something I probably wouldn't do. My pride would hold me back, but eventually I'd have to realize to be represented properly, I need to be truthful with my attorney. You can lie to mama and you can lie to your wife, but you don't lie to your attorney. Okay? And if you're forced in a bad situation, at some point you're gonna have to let the pride go. You're gonna have to let everything go and think about what's best for your son, and then talk to your attorney, and then ultimately, however that plays out, then talk to us if that includes what your attorney says you probably should do. He sat here the whole time and told you to be truthful, and that's the best thing to do, is to be truthful with us. You know, we are presenting this opportunity to you because I'll be honest with you. I know General Thurman, when we get Corey back tomorrow and he starts running his mouth and talking because he's sweating it, then at that point I don't think Tom would even care to hear what you have to say, because he'd be so frustrated with what happened today and with the I don't knows. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just, that's my opinion, okay? Because at some point, you know Corey's going to talk, because Corey's not going to go to jail, Corey's not going to take it. Corey's going to be faced with everything the same way you're faced with it, and he's going to know his goose is cooked. And Corey's going to know, all right, at this point, I gained nothing by staying in jail out of that hurt.
He's gonna stay in jail, it's just a question of when we put a needle in his arm.
Right. And then at that
And
point,
he's been in jail before, he knows how to play the game, he knows.
I've never been in trouble except for that one
Did
other
I give
thing.
you that opinion? I couldn't remember. Did I give you that opinion? Remember when I gave you Corey's record?
No, you didn't give me an opinion, but you gave me the
Did I
record.
read you Blackburn's language, I think, or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess I did.
because at some point, you know
Say
Corey's
that.
going to cooperate and Corey's going to come clean. And at that point, General Thurman's not going to need to talk to you. And then he'll proceed with the case the best way the state sees fit. And I know it's a hard thing to sit and admit that something happened. I know we don't think you're a bad person. We think a bad choice was made. We think you're probably forced into that choice. Knowing how you feel for, I know that you love your son above all else.
Absolutely.
I've got a 9-year-old son that I love above all else, okay? Sometimes, like I told you that night, I could see where a man could be pushed against the wall. And if that's the opportunity that presented itself and you took your way out, then that's what I think you'd be best to say, this is what happened. I need to come clean. You know, you got all this weight and pressure on you. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it building. I know you've got your family to think of, Benjamin to think of, you know, your mom, everything. I can see the weight on you. I deal with people in bad situations all the time. I deal with good people in bad situations, okay? And we know you don't have a record. We know you've been in trouble for nothing. Made you at all.
No.
Yeah.
I was talking to you. Well, we're not getting this.
Okay. No, I'm just saying. I called Tim. I didn't know. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I go?
Absolutely.
All right.
I can't. Sorry.
Through this whole thing, I've had a hard time believing that Corey could have possibly done this from the very beginning. Corey's always been a big part of our family's life. What you're showing me is, without a doubt, Corey did it. Corey actually, at one point, one time in a conversation, said it was done. I didn't ask questions, I didn't understand, I didn't know, I didn't want to know, and I still had even a hard time believing that he could possibly do anything like this.
Why would he tell you it was done? How would you know what he was talking about?
Because it was after she'd been murdered. The only thing I can think of is that he acted somehow on something that I had said, and I openly admitted I've said it to a number of people, things about I just wish, nothing anytime recently, and it may have been that day in court when I was standing there and we just saw Carol Solomon, in fact, maybe that I maybe said. I don't know. I don't know why Corey would have done this. There was no kind of arrangement. I know, and now everything I say seems backwards, and that's what I was talking to him about. Everything I say now was taken with a grain of salt, and you can believe it or not believe it, of course. I didn't know what to do with that bit of information. I didn't know. But that's it. I don't deny, I can't tell myself that my friend didn't do this anymore. It's there. I can't believe that he was at my house, at my mom's, with my son, hugging my son when my son cried. Knowing he was the one who did it.
Corey didn't do anything without an angle. Usually involves money. You know.
I have no money. I had none. I don't. The money I had was going to take care of what I was doing for and to try and pay what little bit of bills I had and spend some time with my girlfriend.
So you think you and Corey were so tight that he hears you make a statement you wish your wife was gone or dead or out of the way, he would just go out and do it on his own? Just because of your friendship?
I knew we were close and tight. I would have never thought that. But I'm sitting there being very honest. There is no agreement of any kind. I mean, the only money I owe Corey now is for like 25 hours worth of work over 2 weeks where he came out while I was waiting for a final draw, which I haven't even finished the job on because of this.
The remodel, you mentioned that stuff. As far as Veronica's relationship with Corey, I mean, did you say you lived with him? When was that? Were y'all living in the same house?
No, it was probably 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, maybe. It's when we were on Stratford Avenue, off of Stratford Avenue, over on Hayden Drive. And it's when he was first born. I think he may have been 1, maybe going on 2, maybe.
That was a long time ago. Living there, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's what I'm, just the same stuff you told me. I mean,
right. He's always been intertwined in our family. Always.
When he told you it's done, was that on the phone or in person?
No, it was on the phone, sir.
On the phone. Was that the same day she was killed?
I don't remember which day it was, sir, to be honest.
And what did you say?
I said I don't have time to talk. I can't talk. I just hung out. Because at that point,
Were you all talking about her murder at that time when he said it's done?
Well, everybody was talking about the murder at that time. From everything, from the moment it happened, everybody I knew was talking about it. So.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
I know you said that you made statements,
Absolutely.
But you never come out and told us you made the statement in jest, even as in general conversation with friends, that you wish she was dead.
I never wished anybody to kill her, no. Like I said before, I even said I wish some drunk driver might catch her or something. I never wished anybody to kill my wife.
So Corey wouldn't get from you, I wish somebody would kill her, if you've never said it. But for him to say it's done, you're saying that he may have taken something you've taken out of context.
You guys have talked about a whole new Corey today that I didn't know, that my wife didn't know. If I'd have known this Corey, he'd have never been around my family in the first place. In fact, he'd have never been around anybody I know in this place.
And why, when we had him in the back of the police car, you didn't come and say, this is what he said, and that's what he did, and that's the man?
I'm sorry, I didn't know who you had in the back of the police car. I didn't know you had anybody in the back of the police car. You told me, no, you didn't say you had anyone in the back of the police car. You told me that you had some stuff you wanted to show me. Could I meet you at the gas station?
Told him that.
You told me.
Well, you did tell him that.
I didn't tell him. I mean, I'm just because I just don't.
So I did not
It'd be
know.
important to come see the guy that we're saying.
I never told him.
I didn't know about a guy. I'm sorry. I don't remember you ever saying a guy to me, did you?
No.
There you go. Thank you.
Actually, I just finished talking. You were coming to my office. We were going home, and
Yeah,
I
you
was
called me. I called him. He called you. You called me.
He was coming from the vet.
I was talking to you.
Okay. So
Exactly right. I had just picked the puppy up and was trying to get it groomed and going to the vet and stuff like that. Exactly right. I had the dog with me.
So shortly after your wife's murder, he says it's done. And what was the statement before that? What were you talking about?
To be honest, I don't remember. I just remember those words, it's done.
Could that have been,
It may have very well been
The
exactly
very day
that.
she was murdered? That phone call you got right after she was killed?
It may have been, but I don't remember it, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. There's been so many things in my head, so many phone calls and
Well,
people.
for him to call you up right after he kills your wife, say it's done, would indicate that he thought
Right.
you were expecting it to be done and he completed the job. I mean, somebody just doesn't call you up and say it's done with no other.
I don't remember exactly when it was, sir. But I do remember having the conversation.
Before it was after you talked to me, or, I mean, I don't, it was a day after or two. I can't
I
even
don't remember, to be honest.
Did he ever show you the iPhone?
His iPhone?
Did he have an iPhone?
Corey's he's got a Droid phone like I have. From Verizon, I think is what his is from, or whatever.
Did he ever talk to you about an iPhone?
No, sir.
Because he went on a computer about an iPhone, about how to do things with an iPhone. He talked to a friend about an iPhone, about how to remove the battery, but in all your conversations, he never asked you about it.
No, sir. I don't know anything about the iPhones anyway, except for that Veronica had one. I know they're very similar to the Droid that I have now, which I think is a similar one you've got, but I just recently got mine. Before that, I was a BlackBerry user, which was Veronica's old phone, in fact, that she gave me.
And I don't know how many MacBooks there were, but I think I gave them to Tom. There were like, we found like receipts for 3. I don't know how many were actual computers that she owned or whatever
Right.
in the box. So I know she had bought, but we found the box for one with the thing, but we found how many receipts? 3 or so.
There were a number of
How many-
receipts where she just bought some stuff, I guess.
I think I did.
Well, Gay, the same young lady that was there with her the night before, said that she was with her when she bought the books for work. So,
So you don't remember if 12/20, 12/22, that's when he said it, it's done?
to be honest, sir, I don't remember any times. I couldn't tell you what time you actually got there and talked to me.
Any other indication that he killed your wife?
No, sir.
Did you say, what the hell are you talking about? What's done?
No, sir, I hung the phone up. As far as I remember, it's kind of like I said a second ago, I just kind of said I don't have time to talk, and I kind of hung up and went. So,
But then you went, you worked with him, you talked to him, you met at Home Depot.
I
What y'all do at
Even-
Home Depot for 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours.
Was it 2.5 hours?
I'd have to check the notes.
Could be shopping. It's not hard for me to go in there knowing everybody because it's a place I shop all the time. And
But he
spend
goes down
time.
from Kentucky to meet you at Home Depot, and y'all were there for
Well, I was probably
2.5
shopping.
hours.
I mean, I was working a job I was trying to finish and had done another little repair job. And
When he said it's done, you took that, you said everybody was talking about Veronica, right?
I didn't take it anyway at that point because I just was, like I said, this is not the Corey I've known. And I've known Corey a long time.
Right, but you took it in context that he's talking about your wife. That's why he said, I ain't got time to talk to this right now, and I gotta go, right?
No, sir, I didn't take it in any context.
So you didn't think he meant, when he said it's done, you didn't think it meant that he said he killed his wife?
I didn't think
or-
anything. But after this, now I brought the conversation back.
Okay, I was just trying to understand.
No,
the
absolutely.
context.
And I'll be the first one. Even I have found it hard at any point to believe that Corey had done this. Until when you gave me all of this. Even the other day in the office, looking at what you had up there, I still was telling myself it's not possible. But all of this, there's no denying this. I agree, absolutely.
Any other statements that come to mind that he might have said?
No, sir, not really. And I mean, I know where I'm sitting right now, and I know what all this looks like, and I know it's all going to come back to me.
Did he ever show you the gun?
No, sir. No.
I mean, as close as y'all were, and he's out showing this other friend of his gun.
I don't
He's
do
putting
guns
it
and
up on
things.
his phone and stuff.
I've never even owned a gun. My father had a gun when we were a child. And
What about the military ballistic vest?
that, a friend just got back from Afghanistan, was trying to raise some money. He just got married. And I asked him, I said, well, I know some people, I spread it around. Some guys that work for me, they're not always the best of people, you know what I mean? So I openly said, hey, a friend of mine's got something.
Who was that too?
I'm
I
sorry?
mean, was that just a Corey or was that several?
Oh, no, I said it to a few other guys too that worked with me. I mean, Corey knew of 1,000,001 people.
Who ended up selling it?
Nobody.
Nobody. You still got it?
I know, so I don't have it. I didn't ever.
Okay. Your friend does?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Can I say anything else?
Well, we'll get Corey tomorrow.
All right.
I mean, I got a question. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I have that, you know.
Go ahead.
No, I just, you know, I'm, believe me, I mean, I hope, I mean, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. And I don't know, you know, it's one of those situations, you know, you're not dealing with an idiot. He knows what's at stake. So what, I mean, and I'm trying to, you know, get somehow somebody to sort of see sort of the things that you believe Brian and everything he said, right? Until I showed you the divorce paperwork and all that shit. I think I called from the house because when I was raising those questions, isn't that what happened? Sure. So, you know, I honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way that he can somehow show it. I mean, as far as Cotham's record, that's why I think we talked about several things, and that we'll might as well just keep doing whatever. I don't know. I think his phone calls show we talked to him several times a day. You know, what the fuck, I don't know. But you know, as far as being a suspect, you know, cool. Divorce.
Who are you talking about, man?
I'm
lost.
Well, I'm talking.
I'm sorry, man. You're like boom, boom, boom.
I know, and I've always been like that.
Yeah. Who are you talking about?
I am trying to ask you what telling you what he told me.
You're telling me what Tim told you?
Right.
Okay.
But what do you want him to do, if anything, or can he do to show you? Yeah, to get the whole truth. I mean, I don't know. You know, like I said, I've been beating my head up against walls.
I mean, I think it comes down.
There's two distinct groups. Veronica's friend and everybody that split off. Wedding, total stranger, talking about how freaky it was. Everything's, you know, I think Roger Moore summed it up. It's the worst made-for-TV movie come on all the time. Well, that may be true of it, you know. It's not.
Well, I think you know what's going to happen. I mean, we're going to get Corey. We're going to give him pretty much the same opportunity to express his involvement. And when he's faced with everything, obviously he's going to see the writing on the wall. And I think at that point, once Corey spills it, then we don't need to talk to Tim anymore. You know, because obviously.
This is my question. You think he'd be more truthful with Tim than he would with you?
Who, Corey?
Right.
I mean, what are you offering? Are you wanting?
No, I'm just putting it out there. I'm asking you guys what. I don't know. I've been.
I mean, what are you throwing out there? You wanting?
I'm not throwing anything out there. It's you guys. Whatever you throw something out there, I don't care. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. Other than saying it doesn't make sense. I mean, I can talk about theories all day long.
We are where we are. I mean, we've got a pretty solid theory that we're convinced is right.
And he knows that, and I don't understand. Yeah, but
I mean, even he has no explanation why this guy, who's his best friend, who he calls all the time, he does all this stuff,
right?
And how he would.
That's what I'm putting forth. I don't know where it comes from.
He could take a polygraph, but I don't know if you want to go through that.
Then we put that on the table. What?
We're talking about it.
We're happy.
You want to take a polygraph?
I don't know much about them except I've heard they're very inconclusive either way, that they're not doing right.
How do you think you do on it?
I would hope I would pass, absolutely.
Passing's 100.
You're not comfortable with it? I mean, obviously, if you heard they're inconclusive and stuff, you're not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable, but I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't if it came down to it.
I'll advise him to do it.
You'll advise him to do it?
Absolutely.
I know you got questions. I want to answer them for you. I mean, like I said earlier, I think first thing he has to do is be truthful to you.
Absolutely.
Because, without you knowing the whole story, you can't properly represent them. And you're sort of left in the dark. And I think today you came in, and I think you were throwing a lot of curveballs and bombshells that you didn't expect.
No, the court?
Right.
No, I mean, I saw the record. I'm not an idiot.
Right. No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just, so as far as your next step, I mean, I guess that's between more you and Tim than us. I mean, we've laid it out on the table. We're ready to receive the truth. And, Tom has already expressed his interest in what he can do. And that's what's out there. I mean, obviously, in the morning, Corey's wave, we're picking him up. And then we got a 1.5 hour ride. And then we're going to be coming down to Tom's office, and he's going to
do the Christian burial.
We're going to be talking to Tom again. We're bringing Corey to Tom tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But we obviously wanted to have a chance. Corey went in there and he cold-blooded murdered her after fighting. And, we don't really want to talk to Corey, but if we have to, we will. And this is Tim's opportunity to sort of lay it all on the table.
And so far, all he's given us is one statement that he made about it's done, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally, as looking at evidence that he would call him up and he knows nothing about it and he's done it for whatever God knows the reason. He's going to call him up and say it's done. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, to me, or I think a juror or anything else. I mean, I don't doubt that he called him up and said it's done, and I think it was right after he murdered her. One of those calls right there on that Sunday afternoon. I think he did call him up and say it's done. I don't think that but I think he knew it was going to be done. And that's still my theory on this case.
Right, and I understand, and that would be my theory too, looking at it.
And then once we talk to Corey, then you realize there's no reason to come back and talk to Tim.
Well, yeah, in theory, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Corey could say the man on the moon did it, or he could say he did it. I don't know. I personally probably wouldn't believe him one way or the other at this point, because I mean, I've looked into it back. But
that's a chance
I don't. If I tell my client stuff, then they can regurgitate stuff, which I get the point of.
Yeah.
So if you want to do anything, however, whatever.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Can the three of us sit right here in this room and speak?
You there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want.
And it's going to be recorded.
That's fine. You seem to be a man that I can respect. A man that shoots straight.
I like to think that's my reputation.
What is the best case scenario I can have here? Absolutely. I know what the worst case is.
Like I said, he can't make you promises or anything.
No, but I'm just saying no.
Consideration.
Consideration, right. What would be my best case scenario? I know what the worst one is.
The worst one's a death penalty.
Absolutely. No ifs, ands, or buts.
And, I can't make you promises, but, in this range, at least a life, or best would be 50 years, 100%, which means 40-something. In other words, not good. And I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, yeah,
Right.
we'll give you a sweet old deal, because we can't. The basic thing we're doing is, and it's hard for you, who's not a con, who
Right.
hadn't been in the prison system, to understand the somatics of how you serve your time, what you get to do in prison,
Right.
and
It doesn't matter. 40 years, I'm an old man, and my son, and everybody I know is dead.
who your house with, that kind of situation.
Right. Everybody I know is gone by that point, though.
But in your situation, we can't just say, oh yeah, we'll give you 5 years, 10 years. We'd be crazy you testifying against him if in fact you were involved with the murder. It just wouldn't work. I mean, the main thing with your cooperation you could do, we could go in when we make a death penalty decision, say he's cooperating, he's ready to testify, he's remorseful, all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of situation that takes that kind of stuff off the table. That's the thing that allows you to at least have some freedom in prison to do programs, to do stuff, to see your son, to see your family, that kind of stuff. That's the situation. It's not a good one. I can't paint a rosy picture for you.
No, sir.
I really can't.
I
This is
agree.
a really bad situation, and the facts are really bad. It's not a pretty situation. No matter how you felt about your wife, she looked like a very young, beautiful mother
She was.
of a 9-year-old child that was brutally murdered in her own home. Nobody I mean, it's a strong discipline case, and I'm not threatening you. I'm just.
Well, no, you're speaking the truth.
I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
trying to let you know what your situation is, and I'm not saying you'll get the death penalty. I'm not even saying we've decided to go for the death penalty yet. That's a decision we make somewhere down the line. But
we talked about that.
Yeah.
So, and he, he's obviously understands it, and even life is 52 calendar years or 50 whatever.
But I'm just thinking that Corey, once he sees the handwriting on the wall, he's going to start figuring out how can I best save,
Right.
which is all he's all about. Period. It's his own butt. I mean, I don't think I've seen too many more disgusting people than him with what you see on his phone. And
That's what's unbelievable, though. I mean,
he's treated women and lied to them and got them all messed up. I mean, he's just
But he's the best guy when he likes you. To my family, he's
a
been so good
sociopath.
to it forever. My friends that are around him, they love him to death.
He does it where he needs people.
Okay, can we talk one more time now?
Absolutely. That's tough. Can we just look in this here?
Yeah.
I'll chase him down. Hey, we're going to go back out and smoke a cigarette.
Go back, one more cigarette.
out there.
The time appears to be 16:35 hours. We're going to stop the DVD and put a new one in. At this time, they're out in the hall talking. Bozza and his attorney.
Detective role.
Yes, sir.
You met him, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, so he's ready to sit in because I can't talk to you by myself without making myself.
Right.
That's, I didn't tell him that, but he can't make himself a witness. So
I understand.
we need to get somebody here. Actually, I did tell you that. I did talk to Tom.
Well, I assumed it was kind of like the other things
Right.
that we've been dealing with.
So he says you want to talk a little bit further, and it's your day really to talk. I mean, I know it's not.
And what I said was just talk to me talk to him.
I'll tell him exactly what I just
Sure.
told you, what we just talked about. Situation I'm in, of course, I'm scared to death. First time I've ever been in any kind of trouble.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's not a situation anybody needs to be in. Like I said, we kind of understood some of the pressures on you that might have made you get in that situation. But it's a bad situation. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no.
As far as going for this hire thing, that's still absolutely not true. I made comments to people. Corey and I had some other talks. And they were still kind of in this jest thing. He was having trouble with the girl who's staying at the house on Severe you asked about. She's going through a divorce now, and the guy's actually trying to get custody of Corey's son because he turned it over to all these other problems that are allowing him to be in a position to do this kind of thing. He was complaining all the time about it. There was a movie years ago that Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito did. I think it was called Throw Mama from the Train. They both had terrible wives, mothers, or whatever, and they said, we'll do this criss-cross thing. And just in jest, I said, okay, hey, we should do the same thing. And this was months ago. Corey, just the week before we did this, came to my house, asked me for $35,000. Whenever I got life insurance money, I said, Corey, I'm not even getting the insurance money. They're not going to give me anything while I'm in kind of trouble like this stuff. His call was the night of the thing. I still couldn't believe that he did it because I said we were just kind of messing no matter what. I was messing. But he told me that he did it. He asked me for money, which I told him I don't have.
The $35,000. Did he ask you for that before the murder?
Just last week,
Oh,
before
last
we got
week.
picked up.
Oh, last week after the murder.
He came to my house and spoke to me and my mom and my son. Hugged everybody. Asked my mom how she was feeling, how she was holding up. When I walked him outside to the car, we were talking. He brought it up then.
So he wanted $35,000. What made him think you would have $35,000 to give? He knew about the
Well,
insurance.
that's what he talked about. He said, whenever you get insurance money. And I even told him, I don't know that I've got any. I mean, I'm not getting anything. So, I mean, and then, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. And I'm sorry. I've lied to everybody here. I admit it. I lied to Michael even. Because I just didn't know what to do. And now it's in a worse place because of a lie. But that's it. I mean, we talked about it in that context of this criss-cross kind of thing.
Who were you going to kill? He killed your wife?
It was some guy named, what's his name? Ex-husband. We're going through a divorce now. I don't even know his last name. But I'm sure you know because she's at the house. But I mean, I even told him that I wasn't going to do that afterwards. I mean, I just couldn't. I can't do that kind of thing.
You told him before he killed your wife?
Oh, yeah, I mean, shortly afterwards. He brought it up again, and I told
Oh,
him.
after you killed your wife and you said you weren't going to do
No. Before he killed my wife and he brought it up again. And I even said that I can't do nothing like that. So, I mean, that's it. Just, I mean, I've made comments about, you know, and not just him, but to people in general, that life was easy when Veronica was working. My son and I, we were together probably 85% of the time, just he and I for 8 years now. And every time we were ready to get divorced, there was something else she wanted, and something else she wanted. I don't know, I thought we were finally going to be done, and now he does this.
How many days before the homicide took place, or weeks was it that y'all talked about this criss-cross?
Oh, this may have been in the very beginning kind of thing when I first ran into him, which...
Well, when's it begin? Nobody knows.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta give it.
Corey and I ran into each other the day I went to court with Veronica about custody. And Judge Solomon's court,
Whenever day.
which was, what, was it May? You don't have any of the documents from John.
I've got.
It may have been May, I think.
We're talking 2 or 3 months. Maybe.
Oh, it's been a while, yes, sir.
What'd you go to court over? I mean.
The parenting plan,
Okay.
to get it put into place so we knew where we were
I'll send
standing.
you out of it. I don't know what date that was.
I mean, Corey came up behind me when I was talking to my attorney there and tapped me on the shoulder and had called my mom that morning looking for me because he was back in town.
Looking for you for what?
Just to reconnect. He'd been gone for 7 or 8 years to the other coast is what he told me, out to Oregon and California and stuff, where he was an iron worker.
So he comes and he sees you in court. He's seeking you out.
We start talking. I say, hey man, yeah, come on, you can come work and hang out with me. And we started working. He started hanging out every day with me at work.
And how does the conversation come about the criss-cross?
Veronica and I probably had some argument or something, and I just kind of made this crazy comment about, you know, that she
I'm
was
trying
going.
to be specific as you can.
I don't know how to be. I mean,
Well, did y'all
it may
rent the
have
movie
been.
or?
It may have been. No. I saw the movie 15, 20 years ago whenever it came out. It's the only time I've ever seen it, but it just kind of stuck, that funny kind of thing that they were doing. It never worked out for them either, but I don't like the way that sounded. I don't know, he was always complaining about this guy. And I don't know, maybe Veronica and I had some kind of words or something didn't work that day for us, or I don't know what had happened maybe, and it just popped up. But
you said you made other statements to other people about.
Well, like I said earlier.
Veronica.
Well, never about killing Veronica or having
So
anyone
these
ever
people
kill
would tell
Veronica.
us-
Yes.
So you said you wanted to shoot her or
No.
you wanted to drown her. You never made those
No,
statements?
sir. No,
Why
sir.
would people make that up?
I don't know. I still don't know who would have told you they saw me there the night before.
All the neighbors that know you.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I've met only a few of the neighbors, and only one truly knows me, and that's
Did
the
you go
couple.
out there and ask them about surveillance cameras?
I talked to the neighbor out back when he was there one time, and I said, "Did you see anything?" They said they had some cameras out here. Did you see anything? I said, "I'm hoping," and I did. I even asked the other neighbors what they heard who were on the back porch, which are some that I was supposedly trying to work on their house for the VA, the black couple. But
So you had this conversation about criss-cross murder? Fairly in depth, I assume, since you knew who you were supposed to murder too.
Well, I mean, he just, I mean,
Was there any
not really
discussion
in depth type
who
thing,
went
like how
first?
we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, and none of that stuff. No, sir. It was just kind of one of those things, and then I don't remember being brought up again any time until he got mad again.
And in the day she's murdered, he calls you up and says it's done.
Yes, sir, he did.
And you all continue to talk after that.
Yes, sir.
What'd you talk about then?
Work and everything else.
He's concerned about as far as the murder. That's what he's.
I mean, you're not telling me that this guy calls you up and says, I just killed your wife.
Well,
It's done. And you thought, well, wait a minute,
No,
we were
sir.
only joking. And then you just proceed to talk about, well, let's meet at 9 tomorrow and put in some drywall or something. I mean,
well, no,
That
sir.
doesn't
It
make a
didn't
lot of
work.
sense.
No, sir, it didn't work that way.
weren't you in shock?
Yes, sir, I
Yeah,
wasn't. In
that's a
fact,
mother-
I didn't really
that's a
see
mother
Corey
and
for 3 or
child.
4 days probably. And I wasn't stunned, and I was shocked.
Why didn't you tell the police?
Because that night, Crumbly and those guys scared me to death when they told me that no matter what. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know who, but they actually said no matter what happened, no matter who it was coming to you no matter what.
Well, when he called you up and said it's done, you knew who did it, right?
I didn't believe, to be honest, I did not believe, and it may be, I did not
So
believe
you
it
thought
at
it's
the time.
a coincidence that your wife's murdered and this guy who you had some kind of agreement to murder called you up and says it's done the same
No,
exact
sir.
day?
That
she's
day it
murdered?
happened, I was literally stunned. I mean, all I could think about was how am I going to tell my son that his mother died, which I did the next morning with my entire family there. That's all I could think about was what I was going to do with him and how it was going to affect him and all that stuff. My son is the only thing in life that I ever really cared about more than anything. I loved Veronica when we were together, but we were gone.
So then he comes to you and asks for $35,000.
Yes, sir.
And he said what that was for.
Well, he said he was going to try and get out of the country.
But I mean, did he say what you would have been giving him $35,000 for? You've had this conversation.
No, sir. But at that point, I understood what he was asking when he asked. There's no doubt about that. He was wanting to get away. He said he had a friend in Atlanta that could give him a whole new identity. He was going to be gone.
Okay. But you all continued to talk.
Yes, sir. I did.
And you met him at Home Depot, spent 2 hours or something with him.
Shopping. Yes, sir.
So you go shopping with a guy that's killed your
I went-
son's mother. Is that what you're going to tell the jury?
I hate to say it. Yes, sir, I did.
So in a way, you were relieved, evidently.
One, I wasn't relieved, and I haven't been relieved that she's gone yet. It hurts every minute I think about it. And it hurts because it hurts everyone around that I can think of. There's so many people that this has affected. And that eats me up. It is killing me. I'm laying in there and I'm going, my God, how many people? Last night I started counting off people that I know that this affected just immediately.
Was that the last conversation you ever had about it? Was the $35,000?
Well, other than what we just talked about, what was happening to us. I mean,
Well,
I don't know about that. I mean, he knows what he's been told, and kind of like me. You know, we're kind of operating, and he doesn't know. So
we talked like he would ask, and I would kind of tell him what was going on. But
did you all arrange with somebody to make your bond, both of you?
we made arrangements for my bond, yes, sir.
I mean, before you were arrested. Did you and
No,
Corey-
sir. I don't know what Corey's done. I have no idea what Corey has done. I tried to go as usual as life could be. And I know it sounds funny, but I didn't know what to do, what else to do. Until it
why
played
would he
out.
have even call you?
I have no idea there, sir. I have no
She
idea.
was wanting to hide out somewhere, and she wanted somebody to make her bond. She got arrested. He's told her to call you.
I have no idea. It's even like when they did the warrant on his mother's house, they said to keep the door in. I called his mother a number of times trying to reach her, saying, do you need me to come over? Do you need some help fixing the door and that kind of thing? I didn't know what to do but to try and be as normal as I possibly could. I just didn't know what to do.
And the reason you didn't call the police and say, wait a minute, This guy, we were joking around. This guy called me and said he killed my wife. Now he wants me to pay him
I wanted
$35,000.
every minute I could possibly have to hold my son. Every minute that I possibly could, just to do it, nothing but hold my son. That's why I tried to maintain normalcy and keep the status quo going.
What happened after? I mean, this whole period afterwards. Corey, conversations. I mean, I don't know Corey. Sounds like it's a good thing.
Well, Corey was gone for a lot after Veronica's death, actually. He'd come around for a little while, then he'd be gone. He didn't really work with me, but he'd just come and go, which I know. I mean, I've seen enough TV shows and things and all that
Well,
kind of
you just
jazz.
told us he worked 25 hours with you.
No, before all this other. I owed him 2 weeks previously that he'd worked and helped me for about a total of about 25 hours. Corey came and went as he pleased. He told me, can I just hang out and work with you? And I said, yeah, I'll keep you some money out for what you do. And I probably paid him, $350 a week, depending upon what he did and what he accomplished.
What did he tell you about what happened? How did he tell you that it went down? I know you talked about that.
He started briefly, and I cut him off because I didn't want to know.
What did he say briefly?
He just said that he went in the house and she tried to run and that he shot her. I don't know how many. I mean, he never told me how many times or anything. I didn't know that until the morgue told me how many times she'd been shot. Or not the morgue, but the funeral home.
But even before that, how did he find her? How did he know where she to pick up the trail at? I mean,
Same place. Every Sunday we meet the same place exactly.
was he ever
Corey knew what we did because, no, he's never been with me. But he knew what we did because, I mean, I told him even that morning, I said, hey, I'm going to get now.
How do you know where she
And goes to church, and we all went to church, and that's where he goes to school and everything.
So you talked to
I mean,
him
that was even
morning.
before these other conversations.
That particular morning, you talked to him and you said, hey, I'm going to pick up my boy.
Yes, sir, I'm on my way. He was telling me about this date he had, and we talked about the boys going to the movies.
And he
If
made
we could.
no,
No,
told you
sir.
nothing about what was going to happen.
No, sir.
You
Did you
pick up,
clearly told him where you were going?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
and so you go pick up your son and you leave. You didn't see him, did you see him around there?
No,
Did you
sir.
see him in passing or anything?
We went, and the last thing we saw was my son and I went down Bradley Parkway, and his mother was going on the ramp going to 40.
Mother, well, you got to tell us what time and where, because
Oh, well, that was right at, I guess she came over
are
maybe
you
just
in
before
Ridge
12.
Duff? Are you in
No, this was,
Ridge? Are you in Thompson?
well, she just dropped him off, and she usually did quarter to 12-ish,
Oh,
12-ish,
you're talking
depending
about
upon who she
Veronica. I thought you
spoke.
were talking about. Are you talking about Veronica?
I'm
or
talking
you
about Veronica, yes.
Oh, okay. Sounds
Him and his mother's
right.
news.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I didn't know if you were talking about Corey or.
So you pick him up and you take off and she heads her way.
And we actually, she was curving, and Benjamin saw her. We couldn't be better. She was halfway down the ramp
You
already.
never saw Corey
No,
at
sir.
that point.
No, sir.
So
And we
then
went
you
straight
go-
home to the grocery store on top of the hill in Ridgetop and picked up milk, a couple of 6 packs of Cokes because my mom drinks Cokes at the Gunner style, and I believe some bread.
And you had receipts from other places you were at too.
Well, I had that one because it was just there at the house when the groceries on the counter. And then I had one where at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, we had a toilet upstairs that was running. I went to Springfield to the Lowe's to pick up a new tower to try and fix the toilet. That's not where it ended up being. And I had that one because it was just kind of sitting there too. Well, I've got a
You
box
make it
full of
practice
receipts from
of
everything.
keeping receipts.
I've got a box full. Since the divorce started, I've got receipts all over the place. They're sitting on top of the dresser top. There's a box full of receipts from everything.
So when when he's telling you about what happened, did he tell you did he say he saw you pick her up? Saw you pick
No.
up Jimmy?
No, sir. He just told me that she put up a fight. And
Why?
that he shot her.
Was he saying about anything else? I mean, that.
He didn't tell me anything else about it.
No, I'm
just-
talking about as far as his conversations and stuff that you.
No, because at that point I just said it's done. Don't ever mention it again. I didn't want to hear nothing.
What did he
I
say?
mean, did he
what
say
he
it?
gonna
Well,
do?
did he?
I'm sorry.
mention his record or that he was somehow a criminal? I mean.
Well, I mean, I'd heard stories over since this had happened that he'd done some other stuff, but he'd always gotten into trouble. Before that, I didn't know it. I didn't know
Now,
it.
this was a Sunday. If you're going to pick up your kids,
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to have your son with you. Why on earth would he call you, gosh, what, 10, 12 times? In the morning, afternoon?
Well, I think we only spoke like 4 times in the morning, and like I said,
Only 4.
well,
I don't have anybody calls me 4 times on a Sunday.
we do all the time. I mean, I speak to him, and I speak to
Why?
some other. Well, he was telling me,
I didn't talk to my
Four.
wife.
Corey, I didn't talk to mine either that way. Corey is a player with the ladies, which everyone's already noticed. Corey had the ability of telling me these stories, and, you know, my life's pretty plain. So he liked to tell me, because, you know, I'd go, oh my God, listen to that. The stories about how you get 2 girls at once, or how you, whatever. And that's what he called. He told me about 2 girls he'd met from Bowling Green that night, and was kind of giving me the lowdown in the story on that stuff.
So then he kills your wife, then he calls you back, says it's done.
Yes, sir, he
And
did.
then you all talk several times after that, and the next day you text each other, you do all that stuff. What were you talking about after he says it's done? And you've been notified, I guess your wife's body's been found.
I don't remember speaking to him after that conversation again that night, though, to be honest.
You know,
Everything at that point was just kind of really weird. And that's when Crumbie and those guys picked me up and we went and talked. And I was there until, I think they dropped me off at home maybe 11-ish. Again, when they followed me back to the house.
Plenty of time to tell them exactly what had happened, though.
Well, I don't,
To tell Crumbie and them what you already knew.
yes, sir, but I was scared to death and didn't know what to do. And it's like, I hate to say it, but I'm sitting here now, after you showed me all this stuff, my first thought is, I'm telling you something. He's got friends on the outside that he runs with. What if they're just like him now? He's been to my house where my mother is. He knows where my son is. I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, he might not do anything. Of course, he's in jail. But I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what might happen now at this point? But I had told enough half-truths, not knowing what to say, that I can't do it anymore.
so you're saying you never paid him anything?
If it wasn't for work, he didn't get anything. No, sir. And it was never,
How did he come up with $35,000?
I don't know.
How did he know about the life insurance?
Well, I guess maybe he just assumed. He'd asked once and I said, I don't know, but I was going to check.
So you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
Yeah, Corey's a player, like you put it.
Corey's a
He's
player,
not
and evidently
stupid.
he's been up and down the thing, so he's going to understand the
He's a player,
idea
yeah.
that there's probably life insurance involved for his benefit.
Yeah,
I mean, other than that, I don't know, sir, because I didn't know.
and you're telling us that based on some kind of innocuous discussion you had about a movie and some other stuff, that this guy's gonna go in broad daylight driving in a neighborhood
No, sir, I'm not telling you
and
anything
kill
except,
your wife
except
based
what I
on
can
an
at this
assumption that you might have insurance and that you might give him some of it. That's what you're telling us?
I'm not telling you
You can
anything
see why
except,
that's kind of hard to
I absolutely do.
understand. Corey's not stupid.
no, sir, he's not.
He may be a lot of things, but he's not that
I don't
dumb.
believe he is either. Corey's done an awful lot of things that I know of
So-
that he's not stupid. He's got a couple of degrees, I even believe. I don't even have a degree. But I'm just, I have told him enough things, and after speaking with you alone to 3, I don't want to put my family through a lot of stuff. They're gone through enough already.
Yeah, they're gonna
go
through a
through
lot.
some
You got
more.
that.
I agree, absolutely.
And we
And
don't
I am
have-
the cause of all of it at this point.
you
No matter what happened, I'm the cause of it.
Oh. His phone calls will be monitored in jail. There'll be all kinds of stuff done. I don't know if he's got clout other than he's shooting his mouth off. We haven't seen him running with a lot of bad people or anything like that other than abusing women. That's his deal.
Has he told you, in that, other stories and specifics, please get into them, because we didn't. Has he?
No, I don't really have specific. He said that at some time, and this has all been since the death, that the cops were hot and
why are
heavy.
you talking to him? I mean,
Well, the cops were hot and heavy on him for some things years ago that they couldn't find him guilty of, is what he was telling me. Because I was going, why are they after you so strong and heavy in the very beginning? And again, that sounds weird, but I didn't want to believe it was him no matter what at this point still. I truthfully did not want to believe it.
You just thought it's coincidence that he calls you up and says it's done the same day your wife's murdered.
I know it sounds
And you
weird, but
think
if you were in my position with everything that was running through my head and my concern about my son and all that stuff, yes, sir, things don't make clear sense all too often for days.
Tim,
And by that point, I was so far into this, I didn't know what to do and how to get out of it.
And after he came and said, I want $35,000, I'm going to go change my identity and go to Atlanta and do all this crap. And you say, no, he didn't threaten you, your family.
No, sir, he didn't.
He just walked off and said, well, I guess I made the wrong assumption.
No, sir, he didn't. But, he never did that either. He didn't threaten me, he didn't anything.
so why would you be worried about him threatening you now?
Because I didn't know, well, again, it doesn't make sense. I didn't know he was as bad as what has been presented to me today.
Oh, you knew he was pretty bad. When he came and said, I want $35,000, I ran in and fought with your wife and chased her down and shot her in the head.
I know it doesn't make sense,
killed
and it
her. And
sounds
you said, well, hey,
stupid. I agree.
let's go shop at Home Depot.
I agree.
And then when we talked about it, I wanted to smoke a cigarette unless Mike still smokes. If you want.
Can't have one till January.
They're getting everybody. Let's talk for a minute.
Okay.
I mean, you can leave this in here.
Okay, we'll cut it off. What's important to understand here
He
is,
needs to talk to you like he talks to me.
I'm going to, if I can just speak.
Well,
I understand
let
the
me tell you.
severe consequences of everything I'm looking at here.
Okay.
I may be stupid, but I've advised him fully on that. He knows that this isn't. I mean, he did. What a conscience that this job sucks. I mean.
I made the statement before that my son means everything.
And he should.
I know now I'll never hold him again. In my arms.
That's not true. You'll be able to meet with him some.
Who would want to be with me?
Your son will.
Corey did this, no ifs, ands, or buts. I know it. We did not talk about money until after it was done, as I said. We had talked about it before. Corey had told me that he had followed Veronica on 2 other occasions, but had never done anything. I love Veronica. She'd taken everything from me. 16 years. Didn't matter what I did, it was never good enough. When I called her, she looked me in the face and said, "Of course you're on my side. You'll have nothing." When it was done, I had nothing. I had none. Then she tried to take my son. We worked through that. We got through that part. But a couple of times she made the comments that she would take him and I'd never see him again. I hadn't heard him in a while, and that's why the wording was the way it was, that she thought it was best he stay here, and Wilson had sent me over a case that he had tried where they said, they needed to stay here, they couldn't go. I never believed anything she ever said. I called her bold-faced with her boyfriend. And she came to me when she walked inside and lied to me right there face to face. I never believed anything she said. I had always hoped that something would happen to her. Not that somebody would actually kill her like this, but something would happen to her. So that it could just be me and my son. We talked about the criss-cross kind of idea, that whole thing. I couldn't kill anybody. If I could, I would have killed her the moment I called her, doing it again the second time. I couldn't do it. He told me twice he'd fought her. Didn't do anything. Inside, I still hoped. But I didn't believe it. You're there twice and nothing's ever happened.
Why did he tell you you followed? Because of your discussion you had about killing him?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That morning we had talked and went face to face, in fact. He knew where we were going to be. I still just thought it was him just mouthing. But to be honest, even though we were getting along, he still it could just be my son and I. I had this new girl, and we were getting along so well. And every time we were to the point to where we could go somewhere else and do the next step, she did something to drag it back. Our divorce should have been done forever ago. And I finally thought we were there. But I don't know if we were going to be there or not. People had told me she wanted to get back together. I didn't want to. I didn't know what was going on. But I still had a hope this much that something would happen to her. Unfortunately, Corey did it. I feel terrible about it. Even though I had hoped, when it's actually done, it's terrible. My son loved his mother, whether I did or not. She's gone. That afternoon he called and said it's done. That's when I said I can't talk about it. And then it was real. I don't know what to do. Shortly thereafter when we talked, and again, I said it, and it's the hardest thing maybe to believe. Even though I wanted it done, and the little piece of me that did, I was so shocked still that it was done. I didn't know what to do but be normal. I had to, I thought, for myself. If I fell apart worse than I already was, it wasn't going to work for me. Afterwards, he told me, which I mentioned that the cops were hot and heavy on him for some things previously that they could never prove them. He told me there were homicides too.
Was he specific about those?
He didn't tell me. He said at one time they thought he was the biggest dealer in all of Tennessee and all this stuff, and it was some stuff intertwined to that, and some other stories about things he'd done.
Right. Did he ever tell you he'd killed anybody else?
Oh yes, sir. Those 2 murders, in fact, he said he had. But I don't know. But the fact, at that point, him saying yes, I did it, and I got away, made me start to say, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't want to go to jail and get away from my son. Stay normal. Maybe he is smart enough that if he did it, he'll get off. I didn't know what to do at that point. I was 2 hard places, not even a rock and a hard place. I had wished and hoped, and it came true, and then I didn't know what to do because I didn't want it to be true anymore. So I stayed normal. And I know it might be hard, but I don't know what else to do.
Well, you all text a lot that morning at 7 in the morning, didn't you? After putting on this deal about...
Explain the timeline and about the, like, why you don't believe some of the things perhaps Crumby's told you or whatever, why you don't believe that to be true.
Well, there's lots of things.
Well, I mean, what was he driving when you talked to him?
When I actually met him that morning, he was in car or van.
He was not in the Escalade, Silver Escalade.
He wasn't in the Escalade. I promise you that.
What was he in?
The van that owns.
The what?
A van that owns. A small little
Where
car.
where are y'all at? I mean,
We went on Bradley Parkway close to Interstate 24 when we met.
That morning.
That morning. He said he was in town. Where was I at? And I said, I'm at the market getting a drink right now, getting ready to pick up. So he rode by there and we chatted and talked.
About.
Well, we just kind of chatted and talked. That's when he first broke into, some more details about the girlfriends and all.
So he was in the van.
Yes, sir. He was in fact.
Okay. Did you ever see the gun?
No, sir. But, and then he called afterwards. I mean, I didn't even see him following Veronica. If he was anywhere nearby, I didn't.
How long was it from the time y'all left having that conversation?
Oh, I was probably there waiting another 35 minutes or so. Because, excuse me, the girl I stay with, she goes to church. Church starts at 10:30, and it's just right down the street from her house. So I probably would have left there 10-ish or a quarter after 10, which is in, considered Ashland City, but it's between Joelton and Pleasant View. They're on Old Clarksville Pike. So, what, a 30-minute drive maybe into town, no traffic on Sunday morning, just going straight out, and then out Bradley Parkway to pick up, which I do every Sunday afternoon. I'm with her Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, sometimes even on Thursday. So we went out, and Corey was there. Corey was sitting. But at this point, a little piece of me still hoped. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I've been so angry through all this stuff with her. Even when we were getting along, she would still lie to me. And I could never get past it. And then he told me he did. And then I didn't know what to do but be normal and hope and pray that he was half as good as he thought he was and he could get off. Because if he got off...
You were recalling some things, so we just kind of wanted to follow up and maybe talk about a few more details if you recall any of those. Just in summary, and if I say something wrong, you can correct me, but based upon the last statement, you said that you first discussed the killing of your wife, Mr. Cotham, and you discussed what you call a criss-cross killing, where he would kill your wife and then you would kill, I think, his husband. That was the first discussion you had. And then you said at some point, I can't do that. So that agreement was dropped, I guess, at that time. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I mean, it was almost an immediate thing.
Okay.
I mean, it was more of a kind of a jest than anything, but
So then, after that, obviously that ended that type of discussion, so there must have been some other discussion. At that time, he started following your wife. You knew that. He told you he'd been following.
yes, sir. He told me later that he followed her.
And then I think you told us on the day that Veronica was killed that you met him prior to her death, where the child was being dropped off at a store close by. Is that right?
Yeah, down the street there towards the interstate.
And you knew at that time he was following Veronica?
At that time, I didn't know, no, sir.
You
But we had met that morning in the area to where we were going to be meeting.
okay. But
So I
you
don't know that
told-
he'd been following her that morning at all.
Okay, but you knew you were meeting with him for the purpose of him following her, right?
No, sir. He called and said he was in the area.
Okay.
But I'm assuming past that point, since this happened, that yes, sir, he was there intentionally to follow her. At that
Did he
point.
know where you picked up your child?
Oh, yes, sir.
And he knew when you picked the child up?
Oh, yes, sir, because it's been the same routine since he and I've been hanging out.
And then after he killed Veronica, he called you and said it's done.
Yes, sir, they did.
And then after that, he came to your house sometime later and requested $35,000 in payment.
Yes, sir, he did.
And obviously you had paperwork from your lawyer about the final divorce agreement, if you were to agree with that, and that had the $350,000 insurance that each of you were supposed to keep on yourself or on the.
Yes, that's what we had agreed upon as a minimum.
Did he ever review that with you before you?
No, sir. No, sir. He'd never seen any of the papers or anything I had. Never even talked about it.
But even though he knew, but he asked for $35,000, which would have been 10% of the $350,000 that was reflected in the divorce papers.
It would have been, yes, sir.
And that was just a coincidence. That he had
Absolutely.
no way to know that there was a minimum of $350,000.
No, sir. He had no way to know.
You all had never talked.
No, sir. In fact, you were talking about monies and things, and we talked before, and I said there'd never been a mention. There was a mention at one time. When I made this there's reference to this movie, this criss-cross, this Bill Mama from the Train movie, because he'd been complaining, and I just was saying it. After I told him, look, man, I was just kidding, man. When he started talking seriously about it, I said, look, I can't do that. I couldn't kill anybody. He openly at that time offered me $10,000 if I could go ahead and do it. And I just said point blank, I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Other than that, that's the only time that any kind of monies that I can recall was ever mentioned. And that was from him to me to do it after I said I couldn't do anything.
That's the problem we're having with this, is just that he would go off on his own and start following Veronica, carry through and kill Veronica, show up right where you're dropping your child off on the day she's murdered, follow her back, kill her, then call you and tell you it's done, without there being a plan for him to say it's done. And that's what we're having trouble with. And if it, if there's more of an agreement, I mean, I understand the criss-cross thing fell through, then the next thing would go that he offered you money, that you would offer him money, or he would assume you would give him money somehow if he carries this out. I mean, that's what we're getting at, that there must have been a little bit more of a plan than what you're loosely telling us. And that's not, that's just common sense to us. He didn't just do this more or less giving you, well, maybe I'm following her, I'm going to take care of this as a friend, and then demand $35,000. I mean, where do you think you were going to get $35,000?
Maybe from the houses I have, I don't know. Again, finances is not something I discuss with people. Is that what I have? Maybe you thought I had it because I had a couple of houses and a piece of land.
But the problem we're having is that he would carry out this murder without having some kind of guarantee that he was going to get something out of it. He's just not going to do it on speculation that you would think, well, you're a good guy, here's you some money. You said you would have paid him the money if you'd gotten it from the insurance. You would have paid him for doing it. So that's just a question. He had to have some, in our perspectives, he had to have some theory on how he was going to get this money or why he was doing this. Because he was emailing prior to the murder. He was going to hit the big deal. He was going to Barbados for a few weeks and vacation and all that kind of stuff. And obviously he didn't have the money for that. So he was obviously planning, once this happened, he was going to get some money. And that's all we're trying to get at. So what was the basis for him believing you would give him $35,000? It just appears to me there'd have to be, after the criss-cross deal fell through, there would have been more discussion then about, okay, I'll do it for money or whatever. I mean, it may have been his idea or whatever, I don't know. But we're just thinking there had to be more discussion instead of him just saying, well, I'm following your wife. You would say, well, what are you following for? You knew what he was following for.
To be honest, there was no more discussion. And I understand exactly what you're saying. And it still, even to this day, doesn't make sense to me the way it went. But there was no other mentions of any kind of monies at any time until that day at my mother's house that he asked me for $35,000 she could get out of town. He said, if I can get it, I'm going to go. I've got a guy in Atlanta who can get me a new identity, and I'm going. And I told him right then, there was nothing. There was nothing. And I know it doesn't make sense.
You never discussed it as legal problem. I mean, y'all were tight. You were business partners, went out drinking together. You were pretty tight. You never discussed, you obviously discussed your domestic problems with your wife, your divorce.
Unfortunately, I discussed those with a few people, yes, sir.
So you're saying you never discussed finances or anything like that about?
Well, we had some stuff going, and another little thing that we were trying to do was some, like, jersey type things, sports jerseys. But other than that, my finances were pretty much down to pat. I didn't get into a lot of it with him.
The trouble that you're in,
Yes, sir. I understand the trouble I'm in.
that's not going to make it any worse or any less as far as the way things are going now.
I understand
And
that.
I just can't see how he's just going to do this without y'all having a conversation of some type after the criss-cross thing for him to go ahead and do this without y'all having any discussion. I mean, it's almost absurd to even listen to that y'all have had no conversation. It's not going to change anything.
I understand all that.
You're not going to look any worse. As a matter of fact,
worse, I've already said that.
So you basically already admitted your participation in the
Yes,
murder.
sir.
You've already acknowledged you're guilty of first degree murder for planning your wife's, but you talked about it with the guy that did it, and you were there with him right before it happened. He calls you and tells you it's done. I mean,
I openly admit to understanding all of that, sir,
understand
but
that. That's
the
what we're trying to
question-
get at. It doesn't get any worse if you all talked about payment. Anything. This guy's a businessman kind of deal. I just don't think he's going to pull something off like he told us. If he told you he'd done this before,
right.
so obviously there's some discussion about whether he was good at this or whether you could get away with it.
I don't recall any of that. I mean, he always thought he was the big stuff that he could always do, and he'd always talk, but no, sir, there wasn't discussion about the money. Is there any time like that? The only time that I can recall that any kind of money was when he talked about he would give me 10 after I said, look, man, I was just messing with the criss-cross thing. I couldn't do that. You know I couldn't kill nobody. And that was it. That was it.
But he seems to know a lot about everything. You never discussed about your divorce. Finally, let him look at the final order that was supposed to go down if you agreed to it and asked for his advice on that. There's
no, sir. Never showed him any of that stuff. And I told him we were about 3 weeks out on everything. Okay. We discussed that. I thought we were finally going to get it all signed. We were going to be done. He knew that I was talking to this young girl about getting married, that kind of stuff. He knew. All this other stuff, though, we didn't. I mean, I would honestly tell you, because I know where I'm at. And the more I can do, hopefully the better it would help me in whatever I've got. Because I know I'm stuck. And I admitted it, and I've made my peace in that. And that's what I pray for every night. That, you know, I'm trying to do what's right so I can be punished for what I've done.
Was he ever around your papers where he could have gone through it?
No, sir. They were at home all the time. No, sir. He never been into my room upstairs at all. Never.
Did you know? Was he ever at your house when you were?
Well, he was at my house, but never when I wasn't there. No, sir. And he was only at my house 3 times total that I know of at all. So, other than that, no, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Give me just a second.
That's fine.
That's fine.